Hey everybody, Matter here. Welcome to part 31 of my Chaos Child Let's Play. Last episode, Tucker's life seems to be going perfectly for him. He met up with this beautiful girl at his school who is his secret admirer, but he notices that something is off. Not just Uki showing up randomly, but also Sarika and Kurusu calling out to him, telling him this is a dream, random things in the world saying that it's a dream and he needs to wake up. And it was very blatant right at the end as he's drifting off to sleep with Sarika and Kurusu over the phone saying, like, if he does not wake up, he will die. Essentially, like, he will never wake up from the dream. So that's where we left off. I assume we'll probably be able to finish the routes today based on the previous routes. They seem to be a few hours each. So I think we will see how this concludes. And I know there's quite a few endings with the Uki route, not just this ending, but we've got a couple of bad endings as well. And then the Another Sky. We've got the Dream Sky, Another Sky, plus the bad ending. So maybe we won't be able to do them all this episode. We'll just have to see. So let's get back into it. I put all my strength into my fingertip and was finally able to answer the call. My voice was so exhausted that it was hard to believe those were my own words. Even as I talked, it felt like I was going to be dragged into the forest of sleep. I was too out of it to even tell whose voice it was on the phone. Well, she sounds a lot more clear than she has been. Oh, there's Kunosato as well. I couldn't even tell who was saying what anymore. I was falling into the abyss of sleep. Yeah, so that's probably Uki. She felt so guilty for accidentally slicing me that she's like, I'm gonna put you in a happy delusion where you have a girlfriend and you're going to be a reporter for Nikondia News and everything is fine. I could hear desperate cries from very close and from far away, but it was amazing how little they seemed to matter to me in this moment. A gentle light enveloped me, and I fell asleep. I wonder if this is him like, and I'm dead. Oh, okay, we're back. This is where I was stabbed. Where am I? Huh? I'm supposed to be in Uki's room. Is this real? Or is this a dream? A dream? Whose dream? Mine? I screamed as something suddenly came into view. Tiny little boxes in the shape of a person, dark red liquid flowing out of them, an overwhelming metallic stench. Inside the boxes was... That's right.
俺にとってかけがえのない存在だった。それをお前は見殺しにしたんだ。でも、これでようやく復讐も終わる。伊藤、お前。次は宮代の番だ。よく切れるメスと麻酔薬は持ってきたか。
I was so angry about Yui's death.
それがなきゃ、ひどく痛くて。苦しむぞ。ゆいちゃんみたいにな。伊藤、 なんだ。泣いて命乞いでもするか。助けてくださいって土下座するか。お前、本当に。
タクルさん。
I gasped when I heard the voice behind me.
よかった、見つかった。ゆいちゃんは。
And then Uki saw the boxes near my feet and froze. Shocked, she looked at them, and then at me, as if she was trying to say something. And then she saw Ito.
ゆいちゃんは。
邪魔するな。今いいところなんだよ。可愛い妹の死で絶望の淵にいる宮代を絶望のままあの世へ送ってやるところなんだ。外野は黙って見てろ。
Ito turned toward me. Uki looked at the boxes again, and then she finally seemed to understand the meaning of Ito's words, and then she took half a step back and screamed. She then glared at him in fury.
なんだよ。
Her D-sword appeared in her small hand.
なんだ。なんだよ、こいつ。
Uki staggered forward, flailing the sword wildly. Ito had no idea how to handle his sudden attacker.
待て、ウキ。伊藤にはまだ。
I got between them. So this is like what happened before. Is she going to not stab me this time? Or nope, and then... Nope, okay. Happened exactly the same way, it seems like. An impact. Pain. Heat. So was I like was I in the dream and then I woke up from the dream to like what actually happened, which is me being stabbed? That's right. She stabbed me with her D-sword. I finally remembered. That was what had happened.
あれが現実。それじゃ今僕がいるここは。
Okay, so I'm following the things for the dream end. So my assumption was that like I was going to stay in the delusion in this ending, and the other ending I was going to wake up out of it, but it seems like I did snap out of the delusion. I could hear voices. That's right, because they were telling me to wake up. Wait, what? I could hear Serica and Kurusu on the phone. Okay, so here I am back. Is this the moment where I just like, no, I see what happened in the real world. I'm not about that, about being stabbed and dying, so I'm just gonna choose to stay here. Huh? What's going on? Was that a dream? Was I... Oh, that's right. This is Uki's room. I fell asleep in Uki's room. I was on the phone. I called Aozaki Yume, and then they called me. That's right, Serica's voice is calling me. Suddenly, something flew by me and knocked the phone out of my hands. It's like Uki wants me to stay in the delusion. It fell on the floor, its body split open by something sharp. My mind was still hazy as I forced myself to look up at the person holding the shining blade above me. Standing next to the bed, her face filled with desperation, was... I wonder if she is in this delusion too because she feels so guilty about stabbing me that she's like, let's live in this delusion together forever.
ダメです。それ以上は 気づいちゃいけないです。この世界こそがあなたの、タクルさんの現実なんです。
Her voice was as sad and desperate as the expression on her face.
どういうことだ。
Uki closed her eyes just for a moment.
優しい家族、温かい友達、楽しいこと、嬉しいこと、幸せなことだけがずっとずっと繰り返し繰り返し、どこまでもどこまでも続いている。これが現実の渋谷。これがタクルさんにとっての現実。それでいいじゃないですか。
違う。
I struggled to get up, but my body wouldn't move.
何が違うんですか？
それは。
What's wrong with it? If the dream I had was right, I won't like what's waiting for me when I wake up. Compared to that, this is paradise. I guess I must be a weak-willed person, because if I was given the choice between facing reality and living in a delusional dream world, I would choose the dream world. Just like Uki said, here there'd be nothing but fun things, pleasant things, and happy things in my life. But is that truly living?
やっぱり。
I finally managed to get the strength in my arms and stomach to sit up.
やっぱりここ現実なんかじゃない。
I was trying to tell myself that, no matter how much I didn't want to admit it, no matter how much I didn't want to accept it, no matter how much I wanted to ignore it. If that was the truth, even if I'd almost died after being stabbed by Uki's D-sword, as long as I was still alive.
やめて。お願いですからやめてください。もうそれ以上、辛い思いを味わわなくてもいいじゃないですか。
ウキ。
どうしてなんですか？あなたさえ望めば、ここはどんな幸せな世界にもなるんです。それなのに、どうして、そんな風にせっかくの幸せを壊そうとするんですか？
そんなこと言ったって夢は夢でしかない。いずれは覚めなきゃいけない。
覚めない方がいい夢だってあります。
Uki looked like she was about to cry.
私はあなたに命に関わるような大きな怪我を負わせてしまいました。もしかしたら二度と今までのような生活はできないかもしれない。たとえ今現実に戻ったとしても、その先あなたを待っているのは辛くて苦しくて嫌なことだらけの人生ですよ。そんなの生きてるって言えるんですか？生きてる意味があるんですか？
The words she said grew in mass and density, creating ripples in my heart. They weighed down heavily upon me, and my mind creaked under the strain. At the same time, the heat and pain from when Uki stabbed me came rushing back. The feeling of coughing up blood, the feeling of my life flowing out of me, and despair shrouding my heart.
そんなの無理ですよ。私には耐えられないです。だから私はこうして新しい世界を作ったんです。タクルさんの望む幸せな世界を作ったんです。このままこの世界にいた方がタクルさんは絶対に幸せでいられるんです。私だってその方が。
Slowly, like a slow-acting poison, all my negative emotions came welling forth to hold me back. It was fine to put on a brave face and say I had to wake up from my dream, but if Uki was right, even if I did go back to the old world, my body would be half dead, so it does seem like he's going to choose to stay here. And Yui, my little sister. She had been killed by the man I thought was my best friend, and now she was gone forever. Was there anything left for me in the real world? There was nothing but cruelty and coldness. But in this world, I wasn't hurt at all. Yui was here too. There was even a girl who loved me, although she's not answering his calls. Was there really any reason I had to go back?
せいです。
Uki's voice was shaking. Tears were running down her pale white cheeks.
私のせいなんです。何もかも私のせい。
ウキ。
私は
Uki started to speak, her head downcast. She told me about herself.
私はまだ小さかった頃
Okay, here we go. We're getting more
お
backstory
父
on
さんや
Uki.
お母さんに連れられて不思議な場所に通っていました。そこではたくさんの人たちがお祈りをしたり瞑想をしたりしていました。
I imagined it was some sort of religious facility. Evidently, her parents had been involved in some kind of cult.
お父さんとお母さんはとても厳しい人で、私がどうしてそこに行かなければいけないのか教えてはくれませんでしたし、私もそれをおかしなことだって思ったりはしませんでした。ある日、私はあの地下へと連れて行かれました。そしてその後すぐに大きな地震があって、お父さんとお母さんは死んだって言われました。両親の他には親戚は誰もいなくて、行くところのなくなってしまった私はあの地下の部屋で皆さんの面倒を見るようになりました。それも私にとっては当然の成り行きで、どうしてこんなことをしなければいけないのかなんて疑問に思うことはありませんでした。
I remembered when I took her out of that basement. She'd been there since she was very little, and it had been everything she had.
いろいろとお世話をしていると、皆さんはありがとうって言ってくれました。その言葉を聞くととても嬉しくて、すごく優しい気持ちになれました。はあ、この人たちは私を必要と思ってくれてるんだ。私のことを頼ってくれてるんだ。そう思うととても温かい気持ちになれました。
For young Uki, being needed was the only way she felt she had any value in the world. I could see that from how hard she worked at Aoba Dorm. That desire to be needed was the only thing that kept her going.
私の周りにいる人が幸せになってくれることが嬉しいんです。私が幸せになることよりも誰かが幸せになる、その方が私にとってはとても嬉しいことなんです。誰かに幸せになってほしい、誰かを幸せにしたい、ありがとうって笑ってもらいたい。
I wonder if that's where she got her power, was just that wanting to make people happy, and that's where she got the ability to create delusions for people, I guess, like to fulfill their desires.
私はきっとそのために生まれたんです。それなのに
Her round eyes filled with tears again.
なのに私はタクルさんにあんなことを。私のせいでタクルさんは私はタクルさんを不幸にしてしまったんです。私にはもう現実の世界でタクルさんを幸せにすることはできません。でもこの世界なら私はタクルさんのことを幸せにすることができます。タクルさんに笑ってもらったり、ありがとうって言ってもらえることができるんです。だからお願いします。どうかこの世界でタクルさんが幸せになるお手伝いをさせてください。
僕を幸せに。ウキが。
The meaning of Uki's words slowly sank in. Here, I could be happy. Here, I could smile. Here, I would never have to suffer again.
タクルさん、
Maybe it's okay to stay here. As soon as I started to think that, I began to feel incredibly tired again. Everything started to get hazy. I'm sure this is for the best. Nobody wants to suffer. And there is no difference between reality and delusion anyway. It's all just what your brain is showing you. So it's better to be happy.
タクルさん、
If I just let myself sleep,
私が守りますから。 あなたの幸せをずっと守っていきますから。
So this is the moment of no return once I fall asleep, because I think they said, Sarika and Kurusu said, like, if you fall asleep, you won't wake up. When I wake up, I'll be happy. Everything started to fade away. A tiny hand rubbed my back. It was Uki's hand, gentle and warm. It would keep me safe. So that. Yeah, she's right. If Uki will make me happy, that's fine with me. I slowly sank into the abyss of unconsciousness. Forever and ever. Another Uki. Oh. Oh, is that why it's called Another Sky? There's another Uki? I even said that too. I was like, it seems like there's two Ukis. Suddenly, I heard a voice that pulled me back from the abyss. I mean, it makes sense. There's the real Uki, and then there's this delusional one. A roar filled the air, and a single ray of light flashed. It felt like the void itself was being sliced apart. I struggled to open my eyes and forced my vision into focus. I saw two people there. One was Uki, who was on top of me, and the other... The other Uki was holding a huge, elegant blade, far too big for her little body, and using it to tear open a hole in space. Are they gonna fight each other? Are we gonna have the two Ukis fighting? The Uki from the other side of the void swung her sword in a flash. The Uki on top of me leapt back and just barely dodged. My mind was having trouble comprehending the fact I was seeing two Ukis. What the hell's happening? What is going on? Is this part of the dream? Or is it real? I just don't understand. Why are there two Ukis? The other Uki lifted her blade and readied it. Uki raised her hand out into the emptiness and plunged it into a crack between dimensions. The particles formed in the dead spots of my brain. Oh my god, there is going to be a fight between the two of them. With a dazzling light, a long flowing blade, her D-sword appeared in her hand. The two of them stared at each other for a moment. They both moved at almost the exact same time. A blade was brought down in a flash like a hawk descending on its prey. The other Uki raised her own weapon to block it. And then the other Uki launched her counterattack. The sword scorched the air as it danced faster than the wind. But her powerful strike was deflected by a strange movement where she held the blade diagonally. Wind, sound, impact. The two switched rapidly between attacker and defender. The two switched rapidly between one place and another. The two switched rapidly in my mind. I couldn't tell which was which anymore. One of the Uki seemed to be losing, slightly. She yelled in a loud voice that didn't sound like Uki at all.
騙される？どういうことだよ、それ。
彼女が今目の前にいるこの私がさっき話したことは全部嘘なんです。だから騙されないでください。余計なこと言わないで。
A lie? What she just told me, that I can live happily in my dreams forever? That was all a lie?
よく聞いてください。もしもこのまま彼女の言いなりになったとしても、あなたに幸せはありません。
僕に幸せはない。
そうです。このままではあなたは妄想の中に溶けてゆくだけ。そのまま二度と戻ってこれなくなってしまうだけです。それ以上は。
Pale fireworks flashed violently in front of me, and rainbow streaks of light burned into my eyes. I tried as hard as I could to think about what the other Uki, the one that had just appeared, was telling me.
タクルさん、この子の 言ってることは嘘です。夢の中ならあなたは幸せになれるんです。違います。そんなの大嘘です。
Which is the real her? Who should I believe?
タクルさん、もう一度よく思い出してください。あの時何が起きたのかを。
Back then?
あの日何が起きたのかをもう一度。それ以上は。
What happened that day? It was... That day... What really happened?
よく自分の心に問いかけてみてください。考えて結論にたどり着いてください。この妄想が本当は誰のものなのかを。
Oh, is it not... It's not my delusion? Is it Uki's delusion where she lives in a world where, like, she has a family? She said herself, like, a world with a loving family and friends. I'm like, that sounds almost like a delusion for her as well. So maybe it is. Maybe I'm in Uki's delusion, not my own delusion. I could sense a door that was half open in the back of my mind. The vision of the past I'd seen started to slowly open the door once more. So maybe by me leaving the delusion, it's going to break Uki's. She wants to stay in this delusion. So... I mean, it's got to be Uki's delusion, right? Maybe, like, she says that she wants to make other people happy and make me happy, which is probably true, but I think in a way it's her hiding in the delusion because she can't bear the fact that she hurt me. What really happened? On that day, I saw tiny little boxes in the shape of a person, dark red liquid flowing out of them, an overwhelming metallic stench, and inside those boxes was...
Ah! どうだ! 自分の大切なものを失う気分は! 自分の無力さを思い知りながら後悔に苛まれる気分は!
I remembered this part, the horrible events of that day.
彼女は俺にとってかけがえのない存在だった。それをお前は見殺しにしたんだ。でもこれでようやく復讐も終わる。伊藤、お前。次は宮代の番だ。よく切れるメスと麻酔薬は持ってきたか。
I was so angry about Yui's death.
それがなきゃひどく痛くて苦しむぞ。ゆいちゃんみたいにな。伊藤、なんだ。泣いて命乞いでもするか。助けてくださいって土下座するか。
Like, I know in a way that Ito is in a delusion. Like, he's having the delusion that he knew... What was her name? The girl who died. The one who was friends with Kurusu. And he's thinking that, like, he loved her and stuff, even though he'd never met her before. So this is a delusion as well for him.
お前、本当に。
タクルさん。
Then Uki came.
よかった、見つかった。
But obviously, when the other Uki's talking about, like, whose delusion are you in, it's pretty obvious whose it is. Then she saw what happened to Yui. And I mean, it's not just the fact that she hurt me, it's the fact that her childhood friend, Yui, is dead. Like, that's a lot to take in once. She took half a step back. And screamed. Her D-sword appeared in her small hand. Uki had staggered forward, flailing the sword wildly. Ito was running and screaming for his life. I got between them, and then I reached out my hand. And in my hand was my D-sword. Oh. Okay, didn't see that coming.
あの時、僕は本能に突き動かされるまま、視界の隅に現れたディソードに。
Because he's almost never able to get his D-sword in any of the routes.
そして、
Oh, don't tell me that he's the one who stabbed Uki. Oh. Oh shit, did I accident? I got her.
僕を
Oh shit.
刺されたのは。
Oh, I didn't see that coming at all. Oh my goodness.
タクルさん。
僕がウキを。
The horrible sensation of ripping through blood vessels and muscle fiber, her body crumpling forward, the sound of her coughing up blood, the thud when she bounced off the pavement, Uki's body turning red. It all came back to me. As the truth of the past came back to me, the Uki from this reality screamed and collapsed on the floor. She started to spasm and vomit up blood. So by me breaking through, yeah, she didn't want that. Her limbs flailed out in impossible directions and froze. It was a slow death, but a certain one. My mouth went wide open in shock as I tried to understand what was happening to her. She reached out her hand into the air, fingers curled like she wanted to grab something. And then her arm fell, and she stopped moving completely.
ウキ。
I remembered, even though I wished I hadn't. What I had seen was the hidden truth. And because I'd remembered, the Yuki from this reality had just died. All the exhaustion and desire for sleep that had been eating at my body were gone. I suddenly felt something strange and looked down at my hands. In my right hand was a long, sharp sword. The shining blade was covered in sticky blood.
僕はまた。
思い出してくれたんですね。
The other Uki whispered softly. Her eyes were filled with sorrow as she stared at her own twisted body lying on the floor.
ここはタクルさんが作った世界なんかじゃなかったんです。ここは山添ウキが作り出した世界。私の中の妄想の世界。
Well, I always knew that Uki was the one who created this world. I just figured she had done it for Takuru's sake, not for her own. So it really was Uki's.
それじゃあ、ウキは、本物のウキは今。
現実の私はタクルさんの隣のベッドで眠っています。
僕の隣で。
はい。そしてここは消えかかる命の中で旅立つ間際に見る夢の世界。
ウキの夢の世界。
そう。私は私の夢の世界を無意識にリアルブートしてしまいました。その夢にタクルさんを巻き込んだまま。
So this world is Uki's dream.
この子は
Uki's voice sounded a little more sad.
この子は私がずっと欲しいと思っていた憧れを手にした私でした。
Uki knelt down and silently closed her other self's eyes. Then she slowly stood up and walked over to the desk and opened the drawer. She took out a tiny envelope It was a pink envelope like a little girl would choose.
覚えていますか？
それは
It wasn't something from so long ago I would forget it, and it had left an incredible impression on me. So I remembered it very well. It was the envelope Aozaki Yume had used to send her love letter.
嘘をついてごめんなさい。
Uki looked a little embarrassed.
あの手紙を書いたのも、そしてあなたの理想の女の子の姿で、
Oh shit,
あのお
okay.
店で待っていたのもこの子。いえ、私だったんです。
Uki is Aozaki Yume? But why?
憧れていたんですね、きっと。自分でも気づいていなかったけど。だからせめて夢の中でもって。
I suppose this is a world any girl might see once in her dreams. But for Uki, maybe that's what she always wanted. For a girl who grew up in that dark basement, who never had the chance to go to middle school.
そうか。
Aozaki Yume. Something clicked in my mind. Oh, god damn it. Aozaki Yume rearranged the letters and it becomes Yamazoe Uki. Ah, I feel like an idiot. The answer was there all along.
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。
Alright, honestly, to the people who are watching this, either if you're watching this for the first time or you played this game, how many of you actually, like, figured out that it was the word, like, the name was, Yuki's name scrambled? I didn't even catch that. Her eyes were still downcast as she spoke.
私は夢の中でほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
I felt like I knew what Uki was trying to say.
でもこれでもう夢は終わりです。
ウキ、
もうすぐ現実の私は死んでしまうでしょう。
But that's...
でもその前にタクルさんはタクルさんのいるべき世界に戻ってください。あの人が、久野里さんが言っていました。私が死ねばこの妄想の渋谷はディラックの海に飲み込まれてしまうって。だからタクルさんはその前に早く。
ウキは君はどうするつもりなんだ？
もう時間はありません。
答えになってない。お前はどうするんだよ？
私は
She's like, guess I'll die. She tried to continue, but before she could get the words out, the strength left her body. She fell to the ground.
何？
I quickly ran over to her and grabbed her by the arm and tried to help her up.
何やってんだよ？
タクルさん。
お前も一緒だろ？一緒に戻るんだよ。
No matter how cruel the real world was, no matter how far away happiness seemed,
タクルさん。
ほら立てよ。立って一緒に来いよ。
I would take her with me.
ありがとう、タクルさん。
And then Uki smiled.
でもダメです。
She quietly brushed my hand away.
私はもうここに来るだけでもう限界だったんです。
何を言って。
She pointed to the D sword in my hand with a shaking finger.
久野里さんが言っていました。ディソードは妄想と現実とをつなぐ橋のようなものなんだって。
そんなことは。
だからそれをしっかりと伝っていけばきっと現実に戻れます。
お前がいれば現実に戻れるんだろ？だったらお前も一緒に。
Uki was sitting on the floor, reaching out a shaking hand. She was reaching for a broken pot. It had shattered during the fight. And the Shiflera was lying on the floor looking sad. Somehow it seemed like Uki herself in this very moment.
タクルさん。この子、ありがとうございました。
そんなの。
Don't worry about it. But before I could say another word, Uki
嬉しかった。
collapsed to the floor. And then the world started to fall apart. The ground and sky started to roar and shake, and everything was pulled back into a pre-quantum state of possibility. Everything dissolved into ones and zeros and fell apart. The end of the world was inescapable, and it was almost upon me. I desperately tried to grab her tiny body. However, her outline started to blur. The matter that made up her body was dissolving like sand being blown away by the wind. It then turned back into ones and zeros, and disappeared like it had never been there to begin with. I stabbed the D-sword into the floor and clung to it to help myself stay standing. But the destruction quickly came for me as well, and reached me. It felt like my body was being ripped apart. A wave of annihilation enveloped me, and all my senses blacked out. Everywhere I looked, there was nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. The void. Or perhaps, was this the Dirac Sea where all things would someday return? I was wandering through an endless void. Particles of light were flowing upward all around me. Even in this form, I could tell exactly what they were. This was Uki. No, that wasn't quite right. It was the memories that made her up. The memories poured into my brain like a rushing torrent. A young Uki. Her parents had brought her to a strange building, and she was sitting there confused, as the adults around her bowed their heads low to the floor. A gloomy room filled with cement and metal. Dozens of horrible devices. Experiments. But even then, she was smiling when she was with her friends, young Yui and others, too. Then the earthquake and the destruction. A sealed room. Screaming adults. Fear of reality and longing. Two colliding desires. We want you to stay pure, innocent, and untainted. We want you to take care of us forever. She subconsciously real-booted that desire. And that's what had happened to her body. Still, she accepted everything, even her own fate. The worlds turned pure white and began to be rebuilt again. I clutched the D-sword tightly with my fingers, just like Uki had told me to.
Takuru ってば、Takuru! のんちゃん、今、声が。
These voices.
Takuru, Takuru!
They were calling out for me over and over. The world began to regain its color. Except Uki's dead, isn't she? Because they said that she was in a bed next to him, right?
こら、意識が戻ったからって飛びつくやつがあるか。絶対安静だぞ。
Dad ran through the curtain separating the beds and pulled Serica off me, then peered down at my face. It's so weird seeing him, like knowing who he actually is. As he started to give me an exam, I looked down at my hand. It was still in the shape it had been when it was holding my D-sword.
でもよかった。目覚めてくれて。ほんとだよ。どれだけ心配したか。
こいつら、ずっとお前があっち行っちまわないよ。声をかけ続けてくれてたんだぞ。
So I wonder how long I've been out for. There's also the whole situation with like Yui's dead. They're still dealing with that. What happened with Ito? I'm guessing he's probably in police custody at this point.
ありがとう。二人の声、聞こえてた。
ううん、いいって。私たちとタクの仲じゃん。
そうよ。それに、これ以上家族がいなくなっちゃうなんて。
Yeah, I was like, that's weird to say with a smile on your face. Kurusu's voice suddenly cut off. Any more? Is she talking about Yui? And one more person, Uki. Damn, I didn't think I forgot about it. I literally just said Uki's dead. So yeah, Uki and Yui. I sat up and asked. She'd said she was sleeping next to me.
タクル、よく聞いて。ウキちゃんは。
A cold sweat appeared on my body when I heard those words. It can't be. Maybe she's already... I slowly looked around. And there she was. Oh, there's a beep. So she's still alive. I could see her resting quietly on the other side of the curtain that separated our beds. Her eyes were shut, and there were tubes attached all over her body. I could hear a monitoring device near her beeping at regular intervals. I wonder if this is... Because she pretty much like collapsed in the delusion, so I wonder if at some point it's just gonna go like beep and she's dead. I don't know how she's still alive. She's alive? But then why did Kurusu and Sarika act that way? Well, Yui, right? What does that mean?
冷静に聞いて、タクル。
Or is she saying like Uki is, when she said Uki is, he was gonna assume that she was gonna say she's dead. Maybe she's brain dead.
のんちゃん、何も今言わなくても。
いや、いいんだ、尾上。
I kept my eyes on Uki as I spoke.
クルス、教えてくれ。ウキは。
I had been ready for it, but when I saw it for real, I didn't want to believe it. Even so, I knew I still had to face the reality of the situation. This wasn't the dream world anymore, and she was the one who told me to come back.
ウキちゃんね。一命は
Yeah, so
取り留めは
she's
した
like
けれど、
basically brain dead at this point.
脳に受けたダメージが大きいって、久野里さんが。
はっきり言ってくれ、クルス。ウキは治るのか。
残念だけど、このまま。
She slowly shook her head. My heart instantly felt like it was going to freeze. I'm sorry, but at this rate... I tried to process the meaning of her words, and the horrible truth finally hit me like a truck. Uki would never wake up again. She would never talk again. She would never smile again. Never. I forced my aching body out of the bed.
大丈夫。
Sarika and Kurusu rushed to support me, but I waved them away. Like a sleepwalker, I staggered over to Uki's unconscious body. Also, like, they must have found her. Like, I don't know if somebody came running after and saw the fact that I had stabbed Uki, or did I come, like... Except I would have passed out, too. So... They have to know that I was or did they think that maybe Ito, because, like, my D-sword would have disappeared at that point. So maybe they thought that Ito had stabbed Uki and killed Yui? But Kurusu and Sarika both know about D-swords. I don't know. Her breathing was irregular but steady. The machine was beeping. I couldn't see a single scratch on her face. She looked like she could open her big round eyes and laugh any second. But... Suddenly I was assaulted by a wave of emotion. Yeah, to know the fact that he's the cause of this, right? I softly touched her cheek. Her silent body was so warm, and I... All I did was cry, for the girl who'd said that other people's happiness was what made her happy. For the girl who'd risked her life to save me.
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。私は夢の中で ほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
For the girl who'd smiled as she said those words. Was there anything I could have done for her? Could I have given her happiness?
この子、ありがとうございました。
Sounds like he did, in a way. It feels like with each of these routes where it focuses on a girl, I both make their lives better and worse. So I'm thinking like with Aramora, she finally found somebody who would not lie to her for the most part, like who understood her, who she could feel like she could be herself around. But then I died, and she had to live with that and be sad. And then with Kazuki, same kind of thing where it's like she found someone who could really understand her and she could kind of be herself around and who taught her to be able to be more confident in herself. And we did survive to the end, but we're basically going to be hunted by the world because we caused calamity. And then with this, it's like I killed Uki, but she found a sliver of happiness before she died. I And so many days passed, many springs, many summers, and many autumns came and went.
それじゃあ行ってきます。
いってらっしゃい。気をつけてね。
So it seems like he's back at the dorm.
今日もいい天気だな。行こうか、ウキ。
Uki, what? Oh, is he just... Okay.
あっちは人が多いから。
So she's still alive, but still brain dead. So it sounds like she's in a wheelchair and he's just kind of wheeling her around. And man, they're basically just keeping her. I don't know. Is that right to do? It feels kind of cruel, but maybe like in a way she's still living in her mind and she's happy in her mind. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this.
それとも向こうの方がいいか?
Oh, this is
わかった。
sad.
じゃあ向こうから行こう。
Shortly after, Uki's body had recovered to the point where we could take her off life support. But it was only her body that had recovered. She didn't talk or laugh anymore. She just stared into space like a doll. Her mind had gone someplace far away and still hadn't come back. Kunosato-san said it probably never would. And she was probably right. My one wish was that wherever she was, she had found the world she'd always wished for. All I could do was pray for that and spend each day with her. It was the one thing I could do to atone for her. I turned around just in time to see Serika run up to us.
よう。
今日もお散歩？
まあな。
そっか、いい天気だもんね。
Serika smiled at Uki, then looked up at the bright blue sky.
悪いな。最近あんまり一緒にいられなくて。
私のことは気にしなくていいよ。私はタクがそれでよければいいんだし。
It feels like she's looking at me, like, are you happy with the way things are? Are you happy with this ending? But it's also in a way Takaru feels like he is, I mean, he was responsible. So he's kind of, it feels like his life is basically like, out of guilt, I have to take care of Uki. So it's like he can't hang out with his friends as often, and he can't just be like a teenage boy. Maybe he even gave up the newspaper club because he's like, I just have to take care of Uki because I did this to her.
タクはいいんでしょ?
Yeah, it feels like she's looking at me and saying, you're okay with how things are, right? Do you want to do the other ending, maybe, and see what happens? Of course, the best thing would be for Uki to get better, but that was too much to hope for now. So I would do what I could for her.
まあ。な。
This was the path I had chosen.
だったらよし。
Serika smiled, satisfied at my answer.
じゃあ、私は行くね。ウキちゃんも、またね。チャオッス。
She said a word she probably picked up from someone else and left. I watched her go, and then we started to walk again. We took each step slowly and carefully.
そうそう。それでさ、ユウトが、
So no mention of Yui, huh? They just kind of glazed that over.
そしたら父さんがさ、
No matter what I said, there was never an answer, but I kept talking, and waiting for the day when she would finally come back.
あ、
I stopped in front of a small store. Oh, that's where he got her the plants. Maybe he's like, maybe I'll get you another one. I'd spotted a planter, and I'd seen a certain plant lined up in front of the others at the florist. I can't say the dang name of this one. A Schlephera? It was the plant I'd given to Uki as a present for her room.
嬉しかった。
I thought I'd heard her voice and quickly turned to look at her, but I just imagined it.
そうだよな。そう。
And then,
ウキ、
oh, her eyes like glass beads quivered for a moment. Oh? And a single tear ran down her cheek. God damn it.
ウキ、
I don't know how to feel about this. She didn't speak. Her expression didn't change. But she was still in there. And someday,
なあ、ウキ、
the world was constantly growing, expanding, and evolving. Even if it left the two of us behind, I'd spend my days with her, and believe that someday she would come back to us. Until then,
僕が君の世話をして生きていくよ。いつかやってくる。君の幸せのために。
I didn't know if that day would ever come, but until then, I would keep believing. Always. Damn, that is a depressing ending that he is just gonna live his life to try and make her happy like she did for other people. Oh yeah, that's a rough one. So, on that note, I guess it's time to try and get the other ending.
ねえ、タク、叶えられた？やりたいこと。
Alright, so this time we want to choose to get the other sky ending. We want to choose negative here, and we want to do positive at the cafe. Thank goodness for guides, because I would never think to do these. Like, these little changes here. Anyway, if I read it, I might be able to tell what the goal behind this letter is. I couldn't get the sticker on the back off easily, so I carefully sliced it with a pair of scissors and took out the pile of folded papers from inside.
なんだこれ。コピー用紙。
Why would someone stuff this into a cute envelope like that? Was she going for a gap moe? Like, this is cute to me because it's bizarre and unexpected?
いや、でも中身は。
The words on the paper were printed from a computer, not handwritten like the outside. I was a little disappointed, but that was fine. What was important was what they said. Let's see.
前略、宮代拓様。これまで私はずっとあなたのことを見ていました。
That was normal.
けれど、ずっと宮代先輩を見ているだけなのは
辛かったから、こうして
ありったけの勇気を出して手紙を出すことにしました。私がお伝えしたいことは至ってシンプルです。私は宮代先輩のことが好きです。ずっと前から大好きでした。きちんと整えられた宮代先輩の髪が好きです。鍛えられておらず、かといって痩せすぎていない体つきが好きです。知的そうなメガネが好きです。クールな瞳も好きです。不遜さを感じさせる微量も好きです。
So I'm wondering, because Uki said, like, she was pretending to be this girl, are these her true feelings? Like, because she didn't know Takaru that well, so everything was talking about is just, like, superficial things, like how he looks. At least in this one. I think in the other one, she did talk about more personal things. So I wonder if Uki, I did say it seemed like she had a little bit of a, not an infatuation, but like a little girlish crush on him. So I don't know.
新聞部で陣頭指揮を取る様がリーダーシップに溢
And
れ
that's
てい
another
て
thing too,
と
right?
ても素
Like
敵です。
that's not like something Uki would say, because how would this random girl know how he is in the newspaper club?
はにかんだ笑顔が好きです。萌えです。萌え萌えキュンってなります。
萌え萌えキュン。
私は宮代先輩が好きです。宮代先輩の写真を隠し撮りして待ち受けにして、毎晩ベッドの中で眺めています。先輩の髪の毛を拾って、ぬいぐるみに入れ、いつも抱いて眠っています。
He's like, okay, now it's getting weird. I was wondering, like, where's the bad part of this delusion?
私はいつも先輩のこと見ています。
And it was funny because after he finished reading this letter, Uki just happened to show up.
朝起きて寝ぼけた顔で眼鏡をかけるところも、外に出てまず最初に大きく伸びをするところも、一人でクールキャットプレスを読んでニヤニヤしているところも、いつもいつも見ています。私はいつも先輩のことを見ています。いつもいつもいつもいつも見ています。時々妄想しているところも見ています。そう、先輩はいつも妄想しています。言うなれば妄想の囚われ人です。あなたは渋谷の妄想に囚われています。このままだと取り返しのつかないことになります。
So this is interesting. Yeah, so in this delusion, I mean, it really depends. I feel like most people would go for the Dream Sky ending first and then this. But by picking this one, obviously you're going for the Another Sky, and it straight up tells you, I mean, if the game hasn't made it obvious already, that he's in a delusional version of Shibuya.
早くそこから逃げ出さなければ。逃げなさい。逃げろ。さもないとあなたは。あなたは。
Yo.
なんだよこれ。怖いよ。
Seriously, what the hell? She's completely Dempa. A prisoner of my delusions? Running away? What is she talking about? She was watching me? That was a joke, right? But she knows about Cool Cat Press.
まさか本当に。
I stood up to look outside my window. Huh? What's the sensation I'm feeling? What was I... That's right, I was reading the letter.
あれ
The bed was covered with pink paper. It wasn't copy paper, and the writing on it was handwritten, not typed. I quickly looked through it, and it was a normal love letter. What was that, then? Did I take Ito's suggestion that it might be a prank a little too seriously? Even so, it seemed so realistic. I calmed myself down and read through the letter again. The letter said she wanted to date me, and then I saw it. Okay, so I think this... Let's see if we can skip this. Okay, we can't skip it yet. There was an 11-digit number at the bottom of the letter.
お返事待ってます。
That's what it said.
電話か。
I wasn't very good on the phone. I could feel my stomach clench with stress. It felt like the stress wasn't going to go away until I called. I'd rather just call now than go through all the misery.
よし。
I spoke loudly to work up my courage and took out the phone. And then I carefully entered the number on the paper and tapped the call icon with shaking fingers. I waited for a while, but she showed no signs of picking up. Just as I was about to hang up, it connected.
もしも。
Huh? The call went through, right?
もしもし。もしもし。
宮代先輩ですか？
Oh, even now that I know that it's a, like, Uki created this, I'm like, it does kind of sound like her, that very high-pitched girlish sound. Okay, so this is all the same stuff. Okay, so we want to pick positive at the cafe, which is weird. You think you would want to pick... I'm very curious what the negative would be. But it says to pick positive like we did last time. Wow. Okay, here we go. I was like, when are we gonna have, like, the different part of the ending? I sat up and asked. Kurusu and Sarika both looked away from me, lips pressed into a thin line. But just from that I could tell. Uki was gone. In the corner of my eye, I could see the curtain separating the bed from the next. Oh, yeah, you don't hear the beeping this time. That was where Dad had been a moment ago. Uki was there, but she was gone. Uki would never move again. She'd never help get dinner ready, or help Dad at his work all day without a single complaint. I'd known it was going to happen. Uki had told me, but I thought there could have been a chance. Just like how there was a 50-50 chance the cat in the box is alive. God damn it, every time I play these games, Schrodinger's cat comes up at some point, at least until you open it. I thought that just maybe, but now I had to accept it. I had to face reality. However... My feelings overflowed. Hot tears dripped down my face. There was nothing I could do but cry. I thought I could save her. This time, I thought I could save her. In Uki, I'd seen the girl I'd witnessed at the facility so long ago, Minamisawa Senri, and this time I thought I could save her. Was that wrong of me to do? Even when she was down in that basement, Uki had never thought of herself as sad. Maybe I was being arrogant to think I could save her. Maybe what I'd done for her was just for my own self-satisfaction. Was she ever able to feel happiness for herself, even a little?
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。
Uki's words echoed in my mind.
私は夢の中で、ほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
She had thanked me at the very last moment of her life, for helping to grant her tiny little wish, which had only come true in her dreams. It wasn't fair. I cried for a long time after that, for Uki, for the little girl who'd only wanted other people to be happy.
つまり、山添右京を殺したのは自分だと。
And then I go to prison for murder. Several days later, Shinjo-san and Kunasato-san came to ask me about what had happened. So I told them everything. Yeah, because, the previous one just kind of glazed over the fact that I had stabbed Uki and killed her, basically.
はい。今言った通り、あの日、彼女の命を奪ったのは僕です。だから、
逮捕してくれってのか？
はい。
I guess because in this world we can't redeem ourselves or try and, what's the word I'm thinking of? Atone for our sins, like because she wasn't dead in the dream one, we basically dedicate our lives to trying to bring her back. And in this one, because we can't bring her back, we're going to atone by basically going to prison. I could still feel it in my hands. The sensation I'd felt when I ran her body through. I was the one who killed her, and I had to atone for it.
だから僕を逮捕してください。
The police probably wanted to find a killer as soon as possible. That's why I thought Shinjo-san would gladly put the handcuffs on me. However...
どう思う？
ありえないな。
だよな。
Shinjo-san and Kunosato-san were looking at each other and saying something that didn't make sense.
ありえないってどういうことですか？
Maybe it's more like they
僕が
don't...
ウキを殺したということがですか？
They need me to be out of prison because they want to study me because I'm a gigalomaniac?
でも僕は確かに刺したんですよ。この手でウキをディソードをリアルブートして。
I remembered it clear as day. I was the one who had killed her. How could it be impossible?
山添ウキの遺体に
Oh.
目立った外傷はなかった。
Oh, so that explains why nobody said anything about the fact I killed Uki before. But that means...
どういう意味です？
どうもこうも言葉のままだ。山添ウキの遺体に目立った外傷はない。一応事件の関係者ということで検視も行われたが、何らかの外的な衝撃で死んだわけではないという結論が出ている。要するに山添ウキは自然死だ。そこに事件性はない。
A natural death?
そんなバカな。僕は確かにこの手でウ
Does
キを。
Serica have any connection to this at all? Like, did they see if there was any swelling of the brain or anything? Like, what?
それは確かなんだな。
Kunosato-san had been mostly silent, but now she interrupted me.
お前はディソードをリアルブートして山添を刺した。それは確かなんだな。
だからさっきから言ってるでしょ。本当ですよ。
なるほど。では、可能性があるとすれば。いや、だがしかし。
何ですか？教えてください。
Kunosato-san's words cut off, and I stormed over to her.
山添ウキがお
Oh,
前を殺人犯にしないため、
what?
最後の力を振り絞って、自らの死が自然死だったという妄想をリアルブートした。という可能性もあるかと思ったんだが。彼女が死んでしまった今となっては、それも。
Oh my gosh, using the last of her life basically to make me happy so that I could say at least I didn't kill her.
あるいは、ここがまだ妄想の世界だというのなら、話は別だがな。
A world of delusions? This is another delusion?
校長の夢。
Yo, dog, I heard you like delusion, so you put a delusion in your delusion. Oh my gosh, I can't with this game sometimes. The dream of the butterfly, hence why it was called. Okay, why the chapter was called Butterfly. Okay. The words came to me suddenly, and I immediately looked up. Someone was watching me. I looked outside the room trying to see who it was. There was a long, dim hallway, and beyond it, there was... That's creepy. That's creepy.
宮代。
いや、今、人の影が。
I thought I saw a tiny shadow. The shadow of a tiny girl holding a sword far too big for her.
影
But when I looked again, it was gone. Okay, wow. That leaves me with more questions than answers. Okay, we got another sky one. All right. So we're not done yet with this because there's actually 4 bad endings in this route because we can't be happy. Happiness is not allowed. So let's go ahead and go get those really quick. Actually, it's funny. I was talking about how, like, what happens if I choose the negative delusion at the cafe? That is actually one of the bad endings. And then there's one by not choosing a delusion at the cafe. And then the other two options are you get them right before the chapter title card. So let's go ahead and go through those real quick.
待った。
I heard loud footsteps coming up the outside stairs. The footsteps stopped, and then I heard the door open. I turned and saw... Maybe it's gonna be the fire girl, parakinetic. Who's that? I turned around. There she is! Whenever it's a bad delusion, I'm like, she's probably gonna show up at some point. I froze in place when I saw who it was. The temperature in my body dropped rapidly. My heart turned to ice. It was her. Haida Riko, the pyrokinetic I thought was dead. My stomach started to shake from the tension. The terror dried up my throat, and all the nerves in my body seemed to short out. My knees were shaking. I need to run. Otherwise she'll kill me. She'll kill me. Found you. But the sheer hatred in her eyes overwhelmed me to the point where I couldn't move a single muscle. I can't move. Everything is stuck in place. My body isn't moving even though I'm telling it to. It's all your fault. Die. The woman in front of me said nothing, but it felt like I could hear her whispering to me. A scream burst from my throat, and the next moment... My body burst into flames. Oddly enough, there wasn't that much pain, but my brain was telling me clearly I was in mortal danger. There was the terrible smell of scorching protein and burning hair. Burns do a lot more damage to the body than people think. Burns over just half the body are enough to kill you. From the intensity of the heat, I could tell that over 80% of my body had been burned. And they were probably third-degree burns, too. Third-degree burn was bad enough that instead of pain, I felt nothing at all. There was no way to save me. Pyrokinetic's flames were burning me alive. I rolled around and tried to put out the fire as best as I could, but it was simply the last impulsive struggle of my survival instincts. The fire was so hot that all the oxygen around me had vanished, and I was starting to suffocate. Why is this happening? I thought she was dead. So why? Everything slowly started to fade away, and as it did, I could see Uki walking up to me, crying and sniffling. In her hand was the beautiful D-sword. The last thing I saw was the way it shone in the light of the fire. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Quick and to the points. Next one. So this one, we do not choose any delusion, which I, like, never do. I almost never go neutral.
待った。
Alright, who's coming up the stairs this time? Of course, this was the entrance to a store, and there was always going to be footsteps of people coming in and out. I ignored it and started to walk forward. Oh. Whoa, okay, suddenly I lost my balance. I was overtaken with surprise. My body was flailing backwards. Don't tell me he, like, falls down the stairs or something and dies. I could guess the cause. The person had come up to me from behind and grabbed me by the collar and flung me backward. Oh my god. Do I just die falling down the stairs? I fell down with tremendous speed. My back slammed down on the middle of the stairs. I bounced off and fell more, and this time I hit my neck. Crack. God damn it. That is... My body writhed at the bottom of the stairs. Strangely, I didn't feel any pain. My brain was emitting chemicals to dull the pain. But I could tell. Not only had I fractured my skull, but I'd heard the sound of my neck snapping. I could tell that there was no saving me now. The flame of my life had been burning so brightly a moment ago, and now it was about to be blown out so easily. Who was it? Serica? Who flung me down the stairs? But why? Why did this happen? And who was the person staring at me from the top of the stairs? What is it, Uki? Doubt swirled in my mind as I began to cough up blood, and then the whole world turned black. What the fuck? Okay, so we don't even know who is the one who threw me down the stairs. Okay. That was very random. Alright, here we go. So this is right after Uki stabbed me, or so we thought. So now we want to choose negative. Alright, I tried to get up and breathe, but my body wasn't moving. Do I just simply perish here? This is what's gonna happen?
死んじゃやだ宮代さん。
だからずっと起こしてくれるだけでいいんだよ。そうすれば
Oh, and then is Uki gonna die and I'm gonna die? Like...
死ねえお前も死ねえ死ねえ死ねえ死ねえ糸やめろ
I tried to scream, but my mouth was no longer capable of forming words. The only sound I made was the sound of blood gurgling out of my mouth. Yamazoe's screams then stopped, and I felt something land on top of my body. Alright, and see, just to show you how hard it is to get some of these endings, if you don't know what you're doing, the final bad ending is you have to choose positive at the chapter's title card, neutral at the house, and positive at the cafe. In what world would you think that choosing positive and neutral choices would result in a bad end? At very specific spots. But anyway, okay, so we want neutral here, which I don't think I've done the neutral option for this one.
いやいやいや、落ち着け、宮代拓。
I carefully cut open the top of the letter and took a deep breath.
先輩のことずっと見てました。好きです、宮代先輩。もしよければ私とお付き合いしていただけませんか？
But when I looked at the bottom of the letter, I froze. There was an 11-digit number next to it.
お返事待ってます。
Oh, here we go. That's right. If Uki will make me happy, that's fine with me. So, okay, maybe this is the bad end where I do just choose to... Ah, okay. So maybe that's why everything I chose was mostly positive, was because by doing the positive choices, I'm like, I just want to stay here. But you think in order for me to get this ending where I just choose to stay in the dream world, I would choose, like, it would be all positive delusions. But anyway.
よかったです。
A sweet, gentle darkness slowly enveloped me. If something bad happens, I can just look away from it. I can hide myself in my own little world and just not look at it. Trying to deal with bad things will only make me miserable. What's wrong with that? There's nothing in my life worth going through all that for. I can just let things pass me by. If I can have fun and be happy, what could be better? Everything will be all right. I can live here. Uki is saying she'll do everything she can for me. I can't turn down her kindness. This is fine. Nothing's wrong with staying here. Everything will be all right.
そう、それでいいんです。
Everything is all right. In the end, this world is mine anyway. It's only what I perceive, what I feel, what I know. So I can just do what I want. It won't bother anybody else. I can just forget everything. And let Uki take care of it. And then I fell. I fell toward an infinite abyss. Toward a happy world that only belonged to me. One I would never want to leave.
おやすみなさい。タクルさん。素敵な夢を。
Alright, that feels like the appropriate last one to get because this is what I thought the dream ending was going to be. The fact it was called the dream ending made me think like, okay, he's just going to be stuck in the delusion. But anyway, guys, that is it. That is all of the endings for the Uki route. So we just have 2 more to do. The real sky ending and then the silent sky, aka the true ending. So based on who we've, done the routes for, my guess is that real sky is going to be either... I'm wondering if, like, the common route is kind of the Serica route. So in that, I'm guessing real sky is probably is going to be Kurusu. That's my guess anyway. But we're coming to the end soon. I figure we could probably finish off this game, and it seems like the routes take on average about like 3 episodes to finish. So I think we could have this finished in like, well, I guess it depends really. I feel like we could have it finished in about maybe 6 episodes or so, but we are going to be wrapping it up soon. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned next week for the beginning of the Real Sky End. Until then, bye. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Revealing Storm, Linz VA, Kenju Storm, iCognito, Kevlar, Lucas Gomes, Jesse Pelletier Lemire, and FFGEZYEYYZYHZEY5ZY.